With just 2 weeks to go before the World War III pay-per-view, we've finally pulled off our first massive coup of a signing. We've stolen a star from WWE. I'm so excited. Hello and welcome to part 16 of my WCW Total Extreme Wrestling playthrough. I'm Kev and this is Monday Nitro and we're kicking things off with Adam Cole versus Colt Cabana. It's a good start to the show. Cole weighs in with a C-, Cabana with a D+. We get a C- on an opening match. Adam Cole again showing that he's worth doing something with, because every time we give him a match he has a good one. So I see a title run of some sort in his future. I'm not entirely sure which title it'll be. I'm sure we'll figure something out. But that's a solid start to the show and a good showing for Adam Cole as we move ever closer to the 3-ring, 60-man battle royal that's going to take place on the World War III pay-per-view in just 2 weeks' time now. And talking of that battle royal, we've got Jim Cornette, who just apparently turns up to debut wrestlers, then goes home again. He's debuting a few more. To be fair, they're not as big a names as some of the ones we had last week, but let's bide our time a little bit. So he's announcing Elijah Burke, Davey Richards, Jimmy Havoc, Rampage Brown and Ricky Banderas. Burke gets a very good gimmick. Davey Richards average. Jimmy Havoc below average. Rampage is very good. Ricky Banderas legendary. And the crowd are pretty hot. Considering the segment only got a D and it's made the crowd hotter, that's good. And we've got a few more faces to turn up in that battle royal. And if we decide any of them perform particularly well, then there's the potential that some of these guys could get longer contracts as a result. Again, these guys debuting with Jim Cornette each week. These are just the ones who are coming on 1-month deals to begin with a view to filling out a 60-man battle royal. And then if any of them are any good, then we keep them around. The signing we've got later in the show, he's on a 3-year deal. But before we get into that, we've got another one of our first round matches in our women's tag team title tournament. This time we've got AJ Lee and Santana Garrett versus Madison Eagles and Nicole Matthews. We get a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. AJ Lee carried the match in terms of performance, and it is AJ Lee and Garrett who pick up the win, with Garrett pinning Nicole Matthews after a handspring moonsault. AJ with a D+, everyone else with E+. Madison Eagles and Nicole Matthews have absolutely zero chemistry as partners, so we won't partner those two together again. Good job, they're the ones that got knocked out. But AJ Lee and Santana Garrett do move through to the semi-finals next week and will face the winner of the other match, which is going to take place later on this evening. We get a D for the match, and Paul Heyman, as usual, doing good work at ringside. I don't even know who he's there with. Who on earth out of this lot is in the Dangerous Alliance? It must be Madison Eagles. I must have forgot to put her in there. Perhaps she needs more of a push. Oops. Talking of tag team wrestling, it's the Briscoe brothers against the British Invasion. A fairly straightforward win for the Briscoe brothers. Doug Williams, he's getting on a bit now and struggling to keep up. He's the weak link in the match, struggling to keep up with everybody else. But we get C- for Jay Briscoe and Magnus. Magnus, we might pull him out of the British Invasion because they just get beaten every time they wrestle. And I think Magnus probably has more potential than that because he always puts in decent performances, similar in performance levels to where we've got Adam Cole at the moment. And then we get a D for Doug Williams and a D+ for Mark Briscoe, a C- for the match overall. And Magnus is improving his gimmick as well. Perhaps once we get past Starrcade, realistically, Magnus isn't getting a singles match on Starrcade. If he's there at all, it'll be in a tag match. Once we get into the new year, maybe we'll do something with Magnus if anyone's got any ideas for what we could do with him. And we have a backstage segment. It's only Diamond Dallas Page who's signed on as a personality. He's a bit old to wrestle. I did try and sign him as a wrestler for the Battle Royal, but he wasn't having any of it. But, you know, had to bring DDP in anyway. And he's got some of the competitors who are in the Battle Royal just putting them through their paces. These are all older guys. They need a little bit of flexibility. And they're doing a bit of DDP yoga backstage. Why not? Getting themselves ready for the Battle Royal. And again, it's the whole one-upmanship that the likes of MVP and Shelton Benjamin have been involved in every week. I mean, added in a few more faces as well, just to get Sandown, Wade Barrett on TV. And I just would like to see the Great Khali do some yoga because it would amuse me. Diamond Dallas Page debuts his gimmick, which is average. Shelton Benjamin's getting better at his, as is Silas Young. And we're losing heat on our US title storyline, and we're going to do that at the moment because we're not building up to a US title match at the moment because Cody Rhodes has already announced he's going to be in the Battle Royal, and there's a number of guys there who would be challenging him if he wasn't, but that's going to have to be a job for Starrcade. And then we have our final first round match for our women's tag team titles match, and it is the squash match of all squash matches. Awesome Kong and Viper just completely squashing Gail Kim and Melina, completely dominant. It's over in 5 minutes. Gail Kim's head and shoulders above everyone else with a C-, showing that perhaps she deserves a little bit of a push. And in fact, we've got some excellent chemistry from Gail Kim and Melina, so perhaps that's a tag team that's got some legs once we move on into this tag division. Look, perhaps I shouldn't have completely buried them. People will forget about that. It'll be fine. But we do get our two heavyweight ladies moving on into the semi-finals, and they'll face AJ Lee and Santana Garrett. Awesome Kong with I got a message through saying Awesome Kong's put on weight and is now an obese heavyweight because she's let herself go. So she's quite a large lady now. Viper is recently added to... What did we add her to? She's added to the Dangerous Alliance, I think. Is Paul Heyman at ringside? He's not. I forget what factions everyone's in now. We've not put her in Bullet Club, surely. I'm sure we added Viper to something somewhere, but maybe we didn't, because there's no manager at ringside, it seems. John Morrison's at ringside with Melina. Gail Kim doing well with her gimmick. So Melina's just got good chemistry with everyone she works with. Who knew that about Melina? Gregory Helms is still managing somebody. Awesome Kong, maybe? I need to fix this women's division. But regardless of all that, Viper's the weak link. Gail Kim's standout performer, and perhaps we need to get Gail Kim back into the singles picture. Or maybe we need to make Gail Kim and Melina a tag. We'll figure something out about what to do with Gail Kim, but she's getting on a bit. We need to give her one last run with a title of some point, of some type. I just don't know which title it's going to be. Talking of the women's division, Kevin Nash has just collected some of the big names of our women's division together. So we've got Toni Storm, Kaylee Ray, Mayu Iwatani, Santana Garrett, AJ Lee. Courtney Rush isn't there because she doesn't need to be. She's our champion. And Big Kev is just giving them a little bit of a warning, saying, look, you guys have been some of the most impressive performers recently. You're really on the rise. You're building our women's division. It's fantastic. I do need to warn you, though, on the Nitro after World War III, we have a major signing for the women's division coming in from that company up in New York that we're not going to mention. And we're talking premier level, big name. So you need to be on your game, because she's going to be coming in right at the top of the card, and the onus is going to be on you to maintain your position there when the time comes. Our women's title picture moves on, gains heat. We get a C+ for the segment, a bit of Nash magic rubbing off on these 5 up-and-coming ladies. And seriously, this signing, when she comes in, is even, maybe not even bigger, on a level with the one we've got in the men's main event picture coming up any time now. Tyler Bate versus Trent Seven. They were already here. They're not the new signings. Tyler Bate defeats Trent Seven. Good chemistry between the two of them. I'm still not sure what to do with Tyler Bate and Trent Seven and Pete Dunne and this whole situation. We're just having them fight every week, and now we're starting to lose a bit of heat on the segments. I think this whole getting these 4 battling it out, this is going to be over and done with by the time we're through World War III. And I think we probably need to decide on who's going to be taking on Zack Sabre Jr. at the pay-per-view next week. We have to next week because it's the last Nitro, but we've just been faffing around. We need a number 1 contender. We'll sort that next week. We get a D, and then we move on. And whoa! I could have given that a bit more build-up if I'd have remembered where it was. Of everyone, if you'd have offered me anyone in WWE, I would have signed this guy. Broken Matt Hardy has arrived in WCW on a 3-year contract. It is only pay per appearance. It's not exclusive. We couldn't tie him down to anything like that. But Broken Matt Hardy, full on Broken Matt Hardy, debuts his broken gimmick. It has a great rating. Jeff Hardy's still under contract in WWE. We can't bring Brother Nero over as well. Rebby Sky is under contract somewhere else. We can't bring her in. I can't find Senior Benjamin anywhere on the database. So we're not having a full-on broken universe. But we've got Broken Matt Hardy. And now we need to build a broken universe for him. potentially. We get a B on the announcement of Matt Hardy arriving in WCW, and then he goes straight into a match against an old buddy of his. It's Matt Hardy versus Shannon Moore, and Matt obviously wins. He gets a C+, Shannon Moore with an E+. We get a D+ on the match, and broken Matt Hardy has arrived in WCW, and it's wonderful. Cody Rhodes versus Jay Lethal for the US title. I know Jay Lethal challenges for this occasionally, but he's there or thereabouts. I'm not really sure who I want to put this title on and just let him run with it. At the moment, this is Cody Rhodes' third successful defence now. We're not having a title match at the pay-per-view, which is why we've done it now. But Rhodes and Lethal are both guys that I want to be pushing, so Lethal's going to need the title back at some point. I'm just not entirely sure when that's going to happen. But we get a C+ for Cody Rhodes, a C for Jay Lethal. Our US title storyline gains heat again after some of the faffing about we've been doing with it over recent weeks. We get a B- for this match, which is really good for two sort of upper mid-carders. They're not our massive main event guys, but they're putting on a B- match, which is really good to see. Our US title is definitely producing some good matches. And then we move into two guys who are in theory above Rhodes and Lethal on the card, but I think this again shows that maybe they shouldn't be. Matt Morgan with a D+, Ryback with a C-. We get a C- on the match overall. Ryback picks up a win for the first time in ages, which he needed. He's fairly unhappy, and I'm expecting Ryback to be the first guy to walk out on us, because I don't really have a plan for him, and he just keeps losing and he doesn't like it. But we've given him a win against Matt Morgan here, because Matt Morgan will just put anybody over and doesn't seem to mind. But unless I come up with a plan for Ryback soon, he might not be around much longer. But we'll see what happens with that. And then we go into our main event, which is Bobby Lashley and Rey Mysterio versus EC3 and Bully Ray. Remember, we've got Lashley against EC3 for the world title match at the pay-per-view, and there's been a simmering tension between Mysterio and Bully Ray for weeks. We're in a match with fantastic heat, great wrestling, and it is EC3 who picks up the win by pinning Bobby Lashley. Interesting. I didn't set Lashley to lose deliberately. I wanted to see what the game would do, but that's interesting. Bully Ray is the weak link, struggling to keep up with everybody else in the ongoing disappointment that is Bully Ray here in WCW. Oh, how disappointed I'll be if Matt Hardy doesn't work either. Two big superstars who you would expect to be massive, and I'll just feud them with each other and make that the on-running thing. Rey Mysterio gets his usual B- and is performing so much better now he's not in world title matches, which is really frustrating. Perhaps we need to just swap him and Lethal and Rhodes over and stick him down with the US title to have good matches and move those two up. It's an idea. Lashley and EC3 with C+, and then the C- for Bully Ray. Both have big storylines with our main event as advanced. We get a B- on the match, and fingers crossed, a B- on the show as well, increasing our popularity in 28 regions. Once again, this is 3 really good episodes of Nitro in a row. We've got one more to go now before the World War III pay-per-view, and time to start getting some predictions down in the comments. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you give it a thumbs up for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and thank you very much for watching.